Oh, you know what? Shane, I got it. It's Elmer Fudd. That's what he sounds like.
It's Wabbit season?
It's Wabbit season.
Wabbits.
Greetings and salutations to all of you lovely listeners out there who have tuned in for another installment of the Grandpa Simpson podcast.
What?
Slow down!
The factory settings are always too high. Michael, you sound like shit.
Yeah, I could tell.
He partied
But
too
you feel
hard.
good. You feel
Apparently.
good,
Oh, no, I feel fine. It's just the allergies.
though. I hope that listeners are ready for an hour of comedy that is
God.
just from your voice. Not from what you're saying, but just your voice.
I've never wanted to have one of the suction cup little nasal bulbs I described previously so
please.
much
I
as
would
this
love
moment.
I would love
Apparently
it.
they're handing those out at Sprouts like for free. Like there was like a vendor trying to get in there, so they like free samples of those little like nose cleaners, and they were trying to get Becky to take one, and she did. And I guess they're like, you don't even need to use it for your nose. You can just, if you want to, you can just use it as a water bottle, like a hamster feeder.
Little did they know that there was someone at home who was willing to use it for urethral sounding.
Oh.
The heart
Ooh,
wants what the heart
I was
wants.
gonna say it's a good
Indeed.
thing to have if you have dogs with flat faces, but you know.
For sure.
I feel like I'm breathing like one right now.
Something important, I think. Where are we on the chart today? I was about a 4, maybe 5-ish. Maybe a 4 or 5.
6.
I wasn't paying attention because I decided not to continue the bit. So
He's
that's-
shitting out
that's
of
a
the front of
7.
his face right now, so I think
yeah,
we're fine.
it's definitely a 7 coming out of my mouth and my nose, if you know what I mean.
You're puking
As in,
poop?
everything I say is diarrhea. I spew diarrhea out my mouth. That's kind of
Oh my god.
Oh, we watched that movie on Sunday night.
the fuck.
Well, speaking of diarrhea out of faces, Heil shitslingers, and welcome to another stirring installment of the Disinformed podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
I'm Michael.
I'm Courtney.
It's I'm the evil twin brother Michael.
No, you
I
should be
thought-
Michael.
Yeah,
I-
Michael.
Well, Michael doesn't roll off the tongue as easily when your nose
Are you
doesn't
kidding
work.
me?
And here I thought, like, the fact that folks would start calling us fecal philiacs after last week's episode was going to be the worst thing I'd have to deal with today. Little did I know,
Oh.
sloppy, drunk Michael is going to be presenting this
I'm
evening.
not drunk. I'm not.
So on the
This is my
boat, I
normal
only
face.
had like 15 drinks, and then I ordered somebody's like mother-in-law to give me a lap dance, and then I fucked a seal.
I mean, those seals were pretty tasty looking after the 10th beer.
Oh, hey,
Wow.
we have that follow up, by the way, from.
Congratulations on your impending nuptials, Michael.
Oh yes.
I'm sorry, John. Please
No,
continue.
you're fine.
God damn it. Ouch.
So we had a follow up from Kristen about last week's episode.
Indeed.
And that it's in regards to the code Brown, I think, as I put it. But
Mhm.
she says it's actually called a commode code. And
Yes,
that's when
the-
people literally go into cardiac arrest when pooping. Code Brown is just for when you need to go clean up some poo.
It's otherwise known as my Saturday night.
Shane,
Ooh-wee.
ding 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 ding. It's that time.
Stop ringing the bell, Grandma.
And then he walks hunchbacked. He's like, "Yes, dear." No.
Listen, my cats have stopped ringing the bell. They just shit when they want.
And where they want.
Seen the finger paintings they
Indeed.
brought home, and they suck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And speaking of all things shitty, no, we are not going to have a part 2
That
or a number 2 for last week. So yeah, what we typically do on this show is we delve into a random esoteric topic and we attempt to sniffle our way through it. And whilst doing so, we will leaven in the occasional lie laced with a bit of booger. And then it is incumbent upon the co-hosts to both tolerate and call out these lies when we hear them, if we are capable, which is open to interpretation. But of course, if we miss them, at the end of the show, we have a little denouement where we explain the things that were lied about in the course of talking about the topic. So you will not leave misinformed.
Exactly. Because we're not the misinformed podcast. We're the disinformed podcast.
wow, thank you. I had no idea until you said it.
That's the sound of your head exploding from that revelation. Anyway, The third
You
section
were made of revelation.
is known as
when is your head going to explode? That's the real question. Do you have a meter somewhere that we can track?
It feels like it's close.
We're on Scanners Part 2 right now.
Ooh.
So
Chat, he's gonna pop.
Michael is actually going to be treating us to a night full of chuckles purely by the sound of his voice.
Oh, this is
I haven't heard a
great.
nasal castrati like this since I was listening to, like, a 16th century choir.
That's
Damn.
that actually isn't too far away from what we're talking about tonight.
Delightful.
Yes.
Also kind of Brando-y.
Welcome to the day of my podcast.
I watched the snail crawl along the edge of a straight razor, and then I bought 15 beers and fucked it.
But they don't come to my cruise ship with respect.
Like that is the one film apparently starring Marlon Brando that John has seen.
It's the only one that actually.
Hey,
No,
Did
no,
you see
yeah,
the
it is.
original Superman?
I get no. Yes, I have. It's been a while. I confuse
Okay.
Brando and Karloff because there's a really old horror movie I think from the 30s that has Karloff in it.
Yeah, they're dramatically different people.
They are
but,
different people. I know. Anyway,
yeah.
that's besides the point. Michael.
Okay, all right.
So, I was good. I thought, honestly, because this is Halloween, I would do Halloween. It's the month of Halloween. Honestly, I've referred to it as such. My birthday is in Halloween. It's funny. So I figured we should do something a little spooky. One thing that always comes to mind is like,
You're not gonna get through this, are you?
I'm
sorry.
gonna try. Well, I asked, hey, I sound like shit. Do you guys want to do someone else? And y'all
Okay.
like, nah, I'd rather listen to you suffer. So
You're gonna edit this, and if you have that many sniffles, you gotta at least gate out a couple sniffles.
Oh,
it
I'm
can't
going
be
to-
100%. I need it to be 43% sniffles.
well, okay.
I want a supercut of the sniffles, please.
I'll just cut out all this. Actually, that wouldn't be that hard. I could just, yeah. I
My
could
name
just,
is not Snuffles anymore. It's Snowball, Courtney. Where are my testicles, Courtney?
Sorry, I'll stop cutting you off.
No, you're fine.
No, even the bartenders cut him off. It's something he's
true.
used to.
My
Well,
goodness.
he doesn't remember it happening, but it happens.
No, I actually wasn't cut off by the bartender. My fiance told me that it was too cold outside and that we were going back into the hotel room. So,
She essentially called you a fuck ass and dragged you back into bed.
I mean, it was necessary, and I couldn't blame her for it. So
Necessary,
shit.
huh?
necessary.
We're coining new words even outside of the normal Michael oeuvre this evening, so I'm going to take notes. So you just continue. I'll let me dictate.
Oh my goodness. Oh my, but whatever. So
My birthday.
one thing that always unnerves me is when something is just slightly off, or it's something that's unknown. Like I like Lovecraft, like existential horror a lot because it's something that isn't known, or it might be something that's like slightly off upon first viewing or something like that. So that was my first thought when I started seeing illustrations for this manuscript. Oh, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Voynich. I think I got it. The Voynich Manuscript. When I first seen, it's in this guy. Oh, my God. Okay.
I have a question while you're composing yourself. If you can't handle things being a little bit off, like, how are you friends with John?
A lot of alcohol. I
Now,
mean,
the question
we
is
met.
whether John and I have the exact same modus operandi here.
We will find
But
out.
we're
going
gonna
to
find out in about. Oh no! I thought we were gonna find out right now. Damn it!
Oh,
actually,
Okay,
that's the
all
number
right.
of lies we have. And
6
it
or
is
3 or
we
9?
got 6. If it was 69, that would be great.
nice.
So,
We're going to be ranking the sniffles on a scale of 1 to 10 for the
Oh, my
entirety
goodness.
of this episode.
Oh, that's
So-
your bit?
Yeah, that's my bit. I'm going to
Nice.
start ranking them and see, just how
my
how you are
goodness.
on a sliding scale performance wise. So
alrighty.
you're being judged.
Okay, I will try my best.
Okay. How many lies do we have, Michael?
6.
6.
Actual 6?
Actually 6, yes.
Bullshit.
No, there are actually 6. The one
All
day
right.
I might do that just as a shit, or just to make whatever. Anyway, whenever I love seeing something that doesn't make sense, as in like it is.
Obviously.
Oh my god. All right, fuck the introduction. So, the Voynich Manuscript is an indecipherable text chock full of illustrations, from plants and herbs that are unidentifiable to disfigured women with distended bellies moving in bright green liquid connected by pipes, to astronomical diagrams that are not represented by any constellation in the night sky.
You just proved John correct. It's got to have pictures in it, or you can't pay attention.
It's the pictures that are what really unnerved me, because they
Can't
looked...
mispronounce a picture.
Well, that's true. Well, I can misdraw a picture because I can't draw to save my life. I could draw less than I could talk, which is saying something. I can't even draw a stick figure.
When Michael's kidnapped, be sure to relay it to his captors that he has to draw himself something for his liberation.
Yes.
So, essentially, the idea behind the manuscript is that it's indecipherable, so it's written in a script or a language that we can't understand. It's either some cipher that has yet to be broken, or it's a completely new language created by whoever wrote the book.
Okay. Can I call bullshit on that because it's so close to your normal episodic content that I can't get over the similarity?
No, it's true. It's
Okay,
indecipherable, and the illustrations that accompany this manuscript or text are so bizarre. They follow a lot of the similar writings of the era, which is about the 15th century, the early 15th century, so about the 1400s, where it's supposed to be like a text that outlines pictures of like plants or like alchemical depictions of things, but they're slightly off, or there's things that you can't identify. Like all the plants that are in this manuscript haven't been identified. People don't know what these plants are supposed to be. No one has been able to crack the code yet, though there have been a lot of attempts. And one source that I got was from National Geographic, saying that 2 Canadian cryptographers had broken the code, but they hadn't showed it yet. So, it's a Pixar. It didn't happen.
Has Dan Brown taken a shot at it yet?
Sounds right up his alley.
It might. He might have. But yeah, if he hasn't said it. Or maybe that's actually how we got Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code. Maybe he deciphered it and then just passed it off as his own. Who knows?
Honestly, though, I think it was probably just crushing virginity that got him to write those books.
Tasty.
With that Sigma male mindset, anything's possible.
Yep.
So, based off of the illustrations, historians or people that are familiar with the book divided it into 6 sections. The first is the herbal, which obviously shows diagrams of plants, none of which have been easily identified. The second is the astronomical, wherein partly nude female figures hold any number of stars, making the aforementioned unknown constellations, which I thought was an interesting thing. All the sources I found said that they were partly nude and they were just holding the stars in the constellations that were being made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where the term astral bodies came from.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah,
I see that.
It's also bullshit.
No, it's true.
Boom. A lie within a lie.
Nope. The astronomical constellations are being depicted by the partly nude.
I was saying bullshit.
Oh. The third section is the biological, which has the disfigured women in green liquid, plus some other diagrams of people bathing in green underground baths of some sort. There's a lot of pipes and everything connected.
This feels very fetishistic, particularly for the 15th century.
Yeah, looking through the pictures, they're very. I mean, a lot of them. My thought is because it's supposed to be something that is like a diagram where it's breaking things down and trying to depict things, that they're trying to show what they see as the human form. But this is me just spitballing here as an armchair, person on the subject. That would be my guess. Because I did find, and there is at least 1 or 2 sources in the show notes that actually show the illustrations, or at least some of them. So you can at least get a better idea, or you, the listener, could get a better idea if you want of the kind of things I'm talking about.
I thought we were hearkening back to the prophets from Midsummer all over again.
Oh yeah.
Interesting oracles.
As long as I don't have to jump off any cliffs.
Give it 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll watch.
I do, in
that.
fact, have a hammer.
Ooh,
What kind?
good. If I don't die, I'll need it.
It's John Henry's. Thank you.
Nice.
The fourth is the cosmological, which features zodiac signs enclosed by circular diagrams. There is a large fold-out page called the Dreamlands Folio, which consists of 9 islands with castles connected to each other by causeways. These islands are surrounded by clouds and depictions of people sleeping, suggesting a shared dreamscape populated by people. The 5th and 6th sections are the pharmaceutical and the recipes, respectively, showing isolated plant parts and various objects somewhat resembling apothecary equipment, with the last section listing what is thought to be a list of recipes, using the ingredients and equipment listed in the previous section. The only reason why they think that they are a list is because every couple of lines there is a star, kind of signifying almost like a new paragraph of sorts.
Okay. And I would have thought that given the rhyme scheme that was established from the prior, I mean, one of these had to have been the gynecological.
You'd
Yes.
think, but this was probably written by a dude who
Clearly
Probably
that's-
drawing like naked women who were desiccated and floating in green slime, or housing the cosmos in their yeah, I think gynecological seems perfectly ensconced here in my estimation. But
Well,
Courtney,
no.
you were saying
That's the recipe section.
stewed
Boom.
peaches, as it were. I gotcha.
So, like all unknown text and manuscripts, one of the first questions asked is, when was it written? Since it doesn't have a copyright date on the book, one way to get an idea for whenabouts it was written is to carbon date it, which was actually done by the relatively nearby University of Arizona in 2009.
What year is it?
Is Nixon still president?
Also, bullshit. It wasn't University of Arizona.
It was University of Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that
Bear
was
down.
interesting.
Are you
Exactly.
trying to say that there was no copywriting in the 1500s, Michael? That's bullshit.
Well, I did say that. I just said there was no copyright on the book. So all we could do is carbon date it, which, when doing so, they found that the parchment had to have been made in the early 15th century. Like I said, between 1404 and 1438, if you really want to know.
Do you know if the manuscript gave consent first?
Important question.
It did scream when it was poked, being made out of the skin of hell scholars.
That doesn't sound like consent to me at all.
No, but I mean, it is a Arizona University, and
Consent
not
and
gonna-
dating is not
Ooh.
normally corroborated in those two
Woohoo.
places. Okay, I gotcha.
Anyway, several years later in 2014, protein testing, again without the parchment's consent, was made to reveal that the parchment was made out of dog skin, which is a major deviation from contemporary manuscripts, which are usually made of calf skin, as in like a baby cow, because I can't pronounce that word today.
No, you got it. I mean,
Okay.
I feel like you conveyed it appropriately.
Good, I'm glad. This lends credence to one major theory that it wasn't a monk who had scribed the transcript, as monks typically use calf skin as parchment paper, essentially. Another such example of a manuscript being written in calfskin is the Codex Gigas, if you guys are familiar with that book.
I am indeed familiar with the Codex Gigas. Thank
Otherwise
you.
known as the Devil's Bible, which
Mhm.
I did a little research on that, and I figured if I could find more interesting little tidbits about it, I might do an episode on its own as well, because it is
Wow.
fascinating, especially the myths
Uh-huh.
surrounding it.
I concur.
Yes.
Race you to it.
No, I'll just let you do it. I mean, you did a really good episode on the Necronomicon, so I
I was
can't
just teasing. I listened to the Black Tapes podcast. They delve into it pretty extensively in there
Oh,
as well.
do they? Oh, okay.
Mm.
Okay. Well, then in that case, I might not bother.
And, I mean, it's not like us at all. That was a fictionalized depiction.
Oh, okay.
But they do have some of it, yeah.
I hate to do this, but my stomach has been hurting a lot in the past 5 minutes. Can you give me like 5 minutes?
Go
Yeah.
poop.
Quick recess. All right.
Go poop.
I mean,
So
you
sorry.
can just poop yourself right now.
I mean, twice in 1 year seems excessive.
Oof.
I don't
If
think
I-
so.
Sorry, guys.
John, did you just rocket something out of your asshole?
Yeah,
Or-
I sure
Holy
did.
Shit.
Exactly.
That was a 6.5, guys.
Oh God. Oh, there
Live
you go.
on air.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but that was a
No,
very,
if
a
it-
very unique moment.
If it needed to be done, it needed to be done because it's.
And
Yeah, no, you're
it's, in the drowning pool homage, let the potty hit the floor.
The current goat skin cover of the book is not the original cover. Thought to
So
have been
we've now gone from dog to goat.
no. The pad script, parchment.
Dogskin is bullshit, wasn't it?
What? No. Well, okay, yes, but I said the cover of it. The cover.
I think
See,
you
this is
played
why
yourself.
this is why we don't take shit breaks in the middle.
Yeah, get him, Dad.
The cover is made of goat skin. You're right. The parchment isn't made with dog skin, but they're two different things. That's like looking at a hardcover book and be like, yes, this front cover is definitely made with the same material as the book inside.
I think we can all agree that having skin is not a good idea for anybody, for anyone,
Okay.
Unless
for any
you're
reason whatsoever.
if you're Uncle Frank, I would recommend it.
That's a really good reference that's lost on them. I appreciate it.
I'm glad.
Anyway, you're right. It is bullshit. The parchment was written in calf skin, as was expected for the time. It was odd.
The
Sorry.
articles are important here.
I understand. It was thought to have been written using at least 14 to 15 entire calf skins. It's about it's several. I almost said about, and I said several hundred pages. It's around several hundred pages. I think it was like the count was around 300.
So the person
Okay.
who was writing this was also eating really well at the time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
All the veal.
So going back to the discussion of the cover, which is made of a different material, but
Would
it's
you say we got
goatskin.
your goat?
Yes, with that. The current goatskin cover of the book is not the original cover, like I said. It was thought to have been replaced while in the possession of the Collegio Romano, or Roman College in English, a school established by Saint Ignatius of Loyola, the same person who founded the Society of Jesus, otherwise known as the Jesuits. Damn it! I was so close. The Jesuits.
Man, I saw you like gearing to launch on that.
I was
and,
so excited, and then I just
It's like the videos that you see like kids jumping into pools and they just barely hit their head.
so
Why were they the Jesuits though?
the Jesuits.
As you were going into it,
I know the Jesuits. Yeah,
the Jesuits.
they were
Jay Shewitt, he's a
Jesuits.
very nice guy.
Yeah,
he's
he is pretty
represented
nice.
me for at least 3 different contract negotiations, and he always gets me a good deal.
Always.
I need to reach out to him.
You're
We're
gonna like
actually
the way you
sponsored
look.
by him today.
Yes,
just
Jay
so you know.
Shewitt's. It's 888-692-8084, jayshewitts.com. If you want to get laid, go with Jay.
So, based on insect holes on the first and last pages, it has been suggested insect. Not, I don't even know what you thought.
Well, why is it insect holes?
As in, like, holes
They were
made
devouring
from
it? Yes, but
No,
just-
based off of the ant anuses. No.
I was like, but you could just say insect damage, not that there's
That's what the
insect
source said.
hole.
The source
well, the
said-
source sucks.
Based off of the damage made by insects
Thank you.
on the first and last page, it has been suggested that the original cover was made from wood with a tanned leather inside cover to pretty much protect the the actual parchment itself from the wood outside.
I think wood was something that is a little more modern with pulping and things to try to make paper and things like that. I don't know that they would have made that for a cover.
That's what it was suggested.
Okay.
It probably wasn't like, wood pulp, not like an actual paper.
Yeah, you
but
just mean like an actual piece of wood.
Yes, yeah. That's what I would assume that they were saying, because they didn't explain it in any more detail other than, based off of the damage by insects. So that I would assume that they probably just hugged off a chunk of wood and just stuck it there, so whatever bugs were still in it were still in it. So, but it also had a tanned leather inside cover. Based off of the unusual discoloration of the edges of the parchment, it was thought that the leather was not cow leather, but instead leather made from human skin. This can't be validated, as examples of human leather-bound books from the early 15th century are pretty hard to find. But the guess comes from how unusual the discoloration is, as it does not compare to manuscripts bound by other types of leather.
Can I call bullshit on the human skin?
Yeah, it's bullshit.
All right. So you just mentioned the Necronomicon on top of this, so I feel like it's holding in your brain.
Yeah, I definitely got... I would be surprised if... Actually, considering that this book wasn't found until 1912, I would say that Lovecraft probably had not had heard of it, or if he did, it was only tangentially. But we'll cover the history of that in a moment.
Okay.
You're right. It doesn't specify what type of leather it is, but you could probably just guess that it is cow leather. The ink is also very unusual in that the ink is not anywhere near as faded as other...
Eek!
The ink... That there eek. Go get me an eek pen.
This is the most adorable Michael episode that's ever happened.
You're like a fucking little plush doll.
Oh my god.
Like a bowstring on your back that says phrases when you pull it.
Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
There's a snake
Just
in
like
my
that.
boot.
Somebody give me an ink pen.
I'm going to keep adding text onto the back of the Cucked by God t-shirt, trademark, by the way. And I feel like eek needs to be the biggest font.
Bring me an ink pen.
Written eek. Anyway, the ink is nowhere near as faded as other manuscripts of the time. Chemical analysis on the ink has shown it to be mostly commonly used for its time.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I couldn't let the bit go. I want to open a new tattoo parlor called Eek Ink that is going to be Michael's brand new business venture.
Kind of like Astro wanted to do indie sense.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But mixed in the ink are some extra chemicals, including potassium, iron, copper, and trace amounts of hemoglobin, suggesting human blood was mixed into the ink to better preserve the text.
No. Ain't
No.
no human blood. Man, that just you're getting too focused here, my friend.
We've all seen The Mummy.
I wanted to make it a
most
little
of
bit more
us.
interesting, but ever since, the difference between dog skin inside and goat skin outside threw everyone off, I feel like that kind of just dropped the whole floor out from under me on this section.
You do actually have that's something that is a little more credible in reality, because the Kiss comic book did in fact have blood from each of the members in the eek that was included to depict it. So, I mean, this has happened before.
Yeah, I've heard like human blood can be used for a lot of different things. It can be it can be mixed with some water and put into a shoe.
Exactly.
It can be, mixed with spit and used as lubricant.
It most certainly can.
You can just drink it because you think it gives you powers.
You can actually apply it liberally to your skin because you feel that it has de-aging effects, which we'll talk about on my next episode.
Ooh, okay.
You're going to talk about vampire facials?
Well, it's actually one of my favorite of the Pornhub channels. So yes, I am.
If it's coming out like that you should go see a doctor. I don't care if you're a vampire or what. Like it shouldn't be blood.
Hasn't fallen off yet.
Why is it blood when I come? No, you're right. There was no blood.
Michael.
There was no blood in the cum or in the ink.
Just sounds wrong when you say it like that.
In the eek. It was just commonly used ink for its time.
Damn pen is blue.
Surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, since you guys sussed all those lies out, the paint used on the parchment is just typically used pigments, no pig's blood or anything bizarre.
Did it have the sodium and everything though?
No, that was the extra chemicals was all
Okay, whole
like,
thing.
There was I can't remember what chemicals they found that when they did a chemical analysis, but it matched commonly used inks at the time.
Okay.
So it was nothing special.
You made me ink.
You made me eek. While the manuscript is named after one of the later owners of the text, a Polish book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich, who purchased the book in 1912, the history of the book goes back much farther. As I mentioned, the book's creation has been dated to the early 1400s. However, the first mention of the book occurred in the 17th century. So there was a whole chunk of time where people just didn't know where what happened to it, where it was, who wrote it, etc. The first mention occurred in the 17th century, like I said, by the first confirmed owner of the book, an alchemist from Prague by the name of Georg, I think it's Georg, Barsech, who had, in correspondence with a Jesuit scholar named, I practiced this name, but I don't think I'm going to be able to say it with my nose, Anathasius Kircher.
Wow.
Huh? Yeah.
Because I thought Anastasia, but Anathasius.
Okay.
So Thathius. How Thathius it?
Anathasius Kircher.
2 questions.
2 answers.
1, what did it smell like?
I can't tell you because I can't smell.
Okay, well, you said it was the odor of the manuscript, so I was just curious.
Damn it. And the second question for the second answer?
Could you say Anathasius one more time?
Anathasius.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
He was assassinated.
Buddy.
Anyway, this Georg.
or Jorg.
Georg. George without the last E, but Georg. Fine, George. His name is George.
Georg Athafen.
Georg talked to Anathasius. Anyway, the alchemist from Prague mentioned a sphinx, his words, that had been taking up space uselessly in his library for many years. He reached out to this Kircher, this Anathasius, because he had recently translated ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. And so the alchemist thought that Kircher would be able to help him understand the recipes found at the end of the text, because a lot of the text it's not necessarily written in Latin, like Latin script, like, the alphabet, the normal alphabet and all that. So there are some letters or symbols that people thought might be connected with ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. So it is unknown if Kircher ever responded to the alchemist, but when the alchemist died, he left the manuscript to his friend Johannes Marcus Marci, who sent it to Kircher instead of just writing to him. He sent the whole book to Kircher with the attached letter, which I will read to you now, and it is still with the book to this day. I was going to try and read this in an accent. I will try my best. Well, not an accent, but try and read it differently.
You're reading it in an accent right now, my friend.
Exactly.
Very fair.
Reverend and distinguished Sir, Father in Christ, this book, bequeathed to me by an intimate friend, I destined for you, my very dear Anathasius, as soon as it came into my possession, for I was convinced that it could be read by no one except yourself. The former owner of this book asked your opinion by letter, copying and sending you a portion of the book which he believed you would be able to read the remainder, but he at the time refused to send the book itself. To its deciphering he devoted unflagging toil. Wow, I can't read. That was not an 8. That was
That's
not
an 8
sniffle.
That was an
Anyway.
8 sniffle. I don't care what you say.
To its deciphering he devoted unflagging toil, as is apparent from attempts of his which I send you herewith, and he relinquished hope only with his life. but his toil was in vain, for such sphinxes as these obey no one but their master, Kircher. Accept now this token, such as it is, and long overdue though it be, of my affection for you, and burst through its bars, if there are any, with your wanted success.
Hot.
Exactly.
I also just love that the only fervor was for the recipe section.
Magic.
Think of
Yep.
what I could make. Chicken pot pie.
So, let's see here. Oh yeah, he mentions a couple of people. He had heard from another friend that knew of the book that it was owned by a Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II, and that he purchased it from another person for the tune of 600 ducats, which equates to about 4.5 pounds of gold. And he believed the author was Roger Bacon, the Englishman, and I'll talk about him in a moment.
Okay, can I mention what you and Rudolph both have in common, though?
Well, he was a Habsburg, so he probably couldn't speak because he was inbred, and I can't speak because my nasal cavities have sealed shut.
Wrong.
Oh.
You both, in fact, have a very shiny nose.
And,
Get him.
you know,
And how?
it would glow and all that. All right.
I'm not allowing you to play in my reindeer games either, just so you know.
Like Monopoly. He pretty much ends the letter saying, "On this point, I suspend judgment," because some people believe that the author was Roger Bacon. He does not believe so. It is your place to define for us what view we should take thereon, to whose favor and kindness I unreservedly commit myself and remain at the command of your reverence, Johannes, Marcus Marcy of Crodland, Prague, 19th of August, 1665 or 1666. Apparently, either the last letter was smudged or they just weren't sure what year it was.
Did he ask what year is it?
What year?
If he did, he would know what year it was and could accurately write down the date.
You would think. Is it bullshit that the year was smudged?
No, they
Okay.
weren't sure if it was 1665 or 1666.
Is
I don't
Nixon
know.
still president?
God, I sure hope not. He was president all the way back in the 1600s. Whew. This letter hints at earlier owners of the text, including, like I said, the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II. It changed smells throughout the years, Shade. It changed smells.
It tends to
Yeah,
get a little musty. I understand. I get it.
Yes.
I feel like this episode needs like the equivalent of like the 3D glasses.
It's smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision, yes, thank you.
Because I have been hearing odors as well the entire
Oh my
time.
God.
And it does take just a second every time for me to go, nope.
It's fine. I have some odor eaters over in my closet. I'll just grab it and
Okay.
we'll clear this right up.
Oh,
appreciate
thank you.
it.
I just want to be able to smell again. So we have Rudolph II, a person of the Habsburg dynasty, the inbred one with the deformed face and the pretty much dying all the time and being, he had no heirs technically because he never married, but he had a lot of affairs with men. He also commissioned a lot of erotic art. And no, that's not bullshit. That was I read his Wikipedia page, and that's like there was sections devoted to that.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that you said he was pretty much dying all the time.
The Habsburg people, the Habsburg people,
Samesies.
they're all
I
Yeah.
just can't stop dying.
well.
It's a weird
I
condition I have. It's called dying slowly.
I say that because he had an illegitimate son.
With a
Allegedly.
man. Yes.
No, he apparently slept with women too.
Ooh.
Allegedly, who was
Was he
named
Logan's brother?
I don't want it. I don't know.
AC Doocy.
Yes. Essentially, he had an illegitimate son named Julius Caesar. Yes, that was
No.
true.
No, it is not.
Yes, it
fucking
is.
true.
He also the kid went crazy. He had schizophrenia and he never bathed and he died from like an ulcer.
Well,
Like
he
at
grew
a
up
young
thinking
age.
He was actually Julius fucking Caesar.
He probably did because his face was probably caved in because he like the Habsburgs are the equivalent of of pugs. That's what I always. That's
so
what
they
I
were
think.
beautiful.
I didn't say they were ugly.
I'm gonna just
I just said
patently
they had
disagree with that.
they had caved
They
in
had their
faces.
flaws.
Well, okay, is there a dog with an enormous chin? because that's essentially what the Habsburgs got. They got like Jay Leto-sized chins.
Who's that deformed actor, Shane?
Sam?
Oh fuck! It's gonna bother me because you'll know it. Like the moment I say it, it's gonna sound so obvious. Continue. Sorry.
Oh, okay. It is unknown if Kircher had tried to decode the manuscript or not, and upon Kircher's death, the book stayed in the Collegio Romano for about 2 centuries until it was removed following the capture of Rome during the unification of Italy in 1870. Essentially, very quickly, one Italian state pretty much fought and claimed or conquered all of Italy to try and, yes, I'm now using my hands, they pretty much wanted to unify Italy into one state. And the Pope wasn't having that. So after a long siege, the Pope acquiesced. And that's actually why the Vatican City is where it is now, because there was a part of the negotiations, they gave Rome away, but only a small section was supposed to be used for the Pope and the Vatican.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because originally it was, I think they had it ensconced in the Popanos is where it was.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Correctly.
Actually, that's one of the sources I used for that little tidbit of information, yeah.
Also, the actor Shane was Roy Dennis from Mask.
You know that was prosthetic, right?
But that's what I think of. That wasn't prosthetic. No, that was actually Roy Dennis.
No, it's a prosthetic.
It was a really good prosthetic.
You know the guy that sells John Travolta heroin in Pulp Fiction? That's him with it. Yeah, that's not an actor. That's the actual individual the film is based on. But in the film, it was an actor wearing a prosthetic.
It sounds like fake news to me, but
okay.
You libs can.
I mean, he was.
Whoa! Did you just self-censor?
I did. I caught it like
lib
a hiccup.
cucks.
Is this why you feel like he got fired from Back to the Future?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't look good on the headshot.
It's hard to get work in this fucking town.
Not in this economy.
So anyway, when Rome was captured, the Italian king seized a lot of the library that the Vatican had, that he pretty much were just taking books left and right, and to evacuate some of these books, including the one that we have, the manuscript, they were taken to private libraries owned by Jesuit scholars. And so it stayed like that until 1912, when one of the Jesuit scholars, in need of cash, sold the book to Mr. Wilfrid Voynich. From there, it passed on to his widow, Ethel Voynich, who wrote the novel The Gadfly, which I don't know if anyone had heard that, but it was The Gadfly.
Stop with The Godfather already. I can't believe you bring me a calfskin book on the day of my daughter's wedding.
Don't bring me this book with respect.
It was a little tidbit of information that was included in the source, and I just wanted to include it to see if anyone had heard of that
Gadfly?
book. I don't know. It was a book that the guy's wife wrote. So if you hadn't heard of it, it was exactly.
He is beauty. He is grace.
Honestly, I half expected Shane to be like, "Oh yeah, I read that book. It was about X, Y, and Z, and just knew everything about it."
Wouldn't it?
It would.
I'm still back here spending time with Eric Stoltz, so I'm sorry.
Nice.
Well, it passed to a couple of other people, like friends and family, until
when did
eventually.
this turn into the Bible, Michael?
That's why I'm skipping it. There were two main areas I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the original person that found it,
and then begets and begots.
And then it
I
finally.
know this part.
Can we get to Revelations already? I want to talk about the dragon.
It ended in Yale University in 1969, and that's where it remains to this day. Honestly, you skipped half a sentence. That's all I was going to say.
I would have skipped a paragraph if I could have. You gadfly fuck.
Speaking of Yale, have you read Ninth House yet, Shane?
I got 3 paragraphs in and said nope.
Nice.
Yep.
That's fair.
It's not for a lack of enjoying the book. I want to read the Dune saga again, so I I can't read
Gotcha.
something when I want to read something else. My
You're
brain just
consumed.
keeps going back
Yeah.
to the other things. So
You're reading, but you're thinking of something else.
I'm
That's fair.
wishing I was in somebody
other
else's
woman.
bed. Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Ooh-wee, and how.
At Yale University.
Yep, and that's where it resides to this day. So
Nice.
that's pretty
Love
much
to be
the-
a gadfly on the wall when they received it there.
Yeah. Let's see. Now that we answered when it was written, how it was written, and who owned it, I wish I could give an easy answer to the question who wrote this and why. But there is not an easy answer.
Oh, good.
Some people, like I mentioned, thought that it was the famed 13th century polymath Roger Bacon, who the only way you would have known his name is if you think all the way back to like I think 6th or 7th grade, centuries ago. In Shane's case, actually, you probably met the guy.
No, it was 2 weeks ago for me, but
Well, it's been
anyway.
2 weeks since you looked at me.
Anyway,
and it's been 1 week since you laughed at me. Saying get back together, come back and see me. And I've heard of Bacon before. He invented the BLT.
yeah. You
And that is
you interrupted. I was gonna say I had rug burns on both my knees, but whatever.
Well, I know that you were really drunk on that cruise, so I'm not shocked.
Wow.
And Destiny can't sleep until she's had a little bit of the
Well,
old
I'm still gonna
slobber
wait a
knocker.
week. I'm still gonna wait a week to say I'm sorry. So we'll see how that
No,
turns
I'm
out.
sorry right now.
The only reason why you would have heard of Roger Bacon is if you
The
heard
sandwich.
about who
We talked about this already.
he helped develop what we know as the scientific method. So when
Is
you
that
first
bullshit?
no, that's true.
So he's a
That's the
scientific
only reason
method
why
man.
we would have. Yes, exactly. The scientific
Nice.
method man. He actually predated Method Man by
I see.
many centuries.
But then, if you checked out that book, it would be a scientific red man.
that I
Keep
don't
going.
get the reference.
Oh, I'm an old
damn.
dirty
That's a point.
bastard.
So there are a bunch of other like thoughts or theories about who this person was, but I don't think it's necessary to introduce all those people. I don't want to begat any more begats.
Thank
Ah.
God.
But
There is also thoughts that different owners of the book were wrote it themselves. Yes, I know. So the odor was made up. There's a lot of theories that separate people wrote these books, including one person that was a cryptographer and decided to play a prank on another one of the owners, Kircher, by writing him a thing that he couldn't break. Essentially, there's no real consensus on who wrote the book.
I mean, is anybody postulated that this might be the time-traveling Zodiac killer?
No,
Could
that's
be.
Ted Cruz.
Yeah. No, I thought that it was Ted Cruz. Yeah, I thought it was his father for a second.
No,
but
it's
Oh, I'm
Ted
on
you're
cruise
you're
control.
Yeah. He went back in time. That's actually why he now has a beard. If you see those pictures, why he looks like shit.
It's not a beard.
everyone
I just
thought it
thought he was trying to make a calfskin wallet with his face.
You're not wrong. So essentially, I wanted to ask a question for you guys based off of what we've talked about so far. The person that wrote this either had to be incredibly intelligent because it's written in an indecipherable language that has not been broken yet, and you have to have decent knowledge of at least how to write herbalism books and pharmaceutical books and astronomical books, or they could just be crazy and just making everything up, and it's all completely bullshit. Which one do you think?
bullshit.
I mean, if it's indecipherable, you can just write garbled nonsense down and claim its profundity. I've, encountered Ayn Rand before.
I remember being so edgy in high school when I read Atlas Shrugged. Oh God, I was a dumb shit.
Yeah, I was going to read it, and then I
Was.
just got Head and Shoulders.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. I wanted to keep it short. I
Do we
did
not
wanna-
get pictures? I mean, with the Tanuki discussion, we at least got to see some nuts.
I mean, I could show. Yeah, I
That's
could show some
actually what the
pictures.
book was bound with, and it was written by a group
Tanuki
of
script.
scientists who were having a slumber party, and they're like, "Watch this, we're gonna wreck the whole system."
That was actually more interesting in about a 5-second interval than about 20 minutes of this other nonsense.
Well, alrighty then.
If you ever listen to
So-
like a drunk at a family reunion try to explain how they're related to other people, that was basically what that quadrant of your explanation felt like to me. So, my cousin's uncle, twice removed on your mother's side, met me at a bar one time and just bawled my brains out. And anyway, then I fucked the pool guy, and then we shared this weird relationship. Anyway, I started living in Hoboken because, you know, it was really difficult in the 90s to get a good job unless you were sucking dick. And so I started dating this other guy named George that I met who's down at the swapping shop, and he gave me chlamydia. And anywho, we had a kid named George, and he got the book.
And
Oh.
then you were born.
And then,
Okay, then.
Joyzy.
No pussy.
Alrighty. No
That's
pussy.
right.
Good God.
Thank you.
Oh, he doesn't exist.
Show me the pictures, yes.
Okay. So these are the kind of, so this is, I'm on the voynich.edu source that you could use. And essentially, these are the kind of illustrations that were shown.
This looks like a child just smacked their hand in some green paint and then put it on another page and then squiggled stuff. Like, I've seen 4-year-olds make contributions like
So,
this.
Yeah, describing it to the people just listening, right? So it kind of looks like an Arthurian legend, like what you imagine that being written on, except, you know, a kid.
Finger painting, yes.
A kid finger painted over all of it.
So if a fantasy novel from the 14th century was written by a 5-year-old that managed to get a hold of some grease paint, that's what this looks like. So to say that it's not an identifiable plant out in the world would be the same thing as like when a 3-year-old walks up to me and goes, I do a picture of a horse. And it looks like a circle
It has
that's
8
been
legs.
vomited on by red crayon. And you're like, oh yeah, it's a real lovely horse.
You
Like if I
nailed
went out
it.
into the world and tried to identify that animal as like, this has to be a real depiction. Like, what the fuck?
I think it actually looks like multiple plants that they like combined together to make it look like a plant that nobody knew what it was. Because up at the top it looks
Ooh,
like
okay.
maple leaves. And then you've
Uh.
kind of got like these little blackberry looking guys, but those aren't the right leaves for like a blackberry plant. And it
Mhm.
almost looks more like vines from grapes.
Or cranberries.
Huh.
And,
Or snozberries.
you know, this might be Old Man Peabody. You know, he had a
never know.
crazy dream about breeding pine trees. So that might be where this comes from.
Allegedly.
Indeed.
And then we have some astronomical illustrations, which are pretty much just circles. Not really that interesting.
That could be a
Uh,
juicer or a blender as seen from above.
That I can
Oh,
see
yeah.
that. Yes.
Ooh,
yes.
oh, no. It's a desk fan.
Oh.
The desk fan of the cosmos.
Are we sure?
So he's like a
Caught
Da
as a wheel.
Vinci. He designed things long before that they were actually invented, like
Indeed.
the Da Vinci helicopter. Okay.
Yes, this
So
is
it's
a
a computer fan.
It's a time-traveling repairman for office supplies.
And then let me see if I can open that even hot, like get a little larger.
Ooh, there's some furry on there.
There's no furries
Oh,
on
it's a
here.
little fuzz, yeah.
Man, yeah, it's
my
just a
God.
little.
These are the sort of the cosmological, the kind of zodiac where they had pictures within pictures of animals of the kind of zodiacs. I'm losing my train of thought here.
No,
Okay.
you're
I-
good. I was actually going to say that Shane, whether or not he intended to, nailed it right on the head. So the illustrations that Michael is showing us from the book of the zodiac signs look almost identical to the concept art that you can find of Midsummer.
Mhm.
Like if you look up the actual like hand-drawn illustrations from Midsummer.
Mhm.
Oh,
it's
okay, I see
very,
what you're
very
saying.
Similar. And
Yeah.
I would warrant to guess, Michael, that if you Googled Midsummer art, or like art from the movie, that you
Very
would see a
similar.
striking similarity.
Yeah.
I'd believe it. Well, because Midsummer, Jesus Christ. The movie is based off of older Swedish legends, or
yeah, it's
not
a
Swedish,
folk-
but folks,
It's
folk
a folk horror
legends.
movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
Go folk yourself.
Kind
Michael,
of like Wicker Man.
in any of your research, did anything about druids come up?
Not that I saw.
Mm.
But then again, it's one of those things where it could have been that the misshapen people were druids, but because they have no way of identifying them, they people just don't know. They're like, well, there's some like emaciated or disfigured people walking through green liquid. We don't know what it means. It could have been the guy trying to draw druids or whatever he was hallucinating on when he was dying of dysentery. And so
It could have been the Loch Ness Monster for all we know.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
So what the hell's going on over here with the dude in the gimp suit that's just hanging out on a...
I'm watching American Horror Story season 1, and he's in the show.
Yeah, he is.
Well,
I see nothing but like his ball sack over here, and I don't know what's going on, but that's not big Tanuki energy.
That is most certainly not big Tanuki energy. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I could find... Here's some other pictures. If you can see these new ones. Can you see
Courtney,
the
do
new
you want
ones?
to give a
Okay.
crack at describing this one to the audience?
If the aliens from Mac and Me were depicted nude with oddly shaped sex organs and
Okay.
the Virgin Mary in the background,
Yes.
You know how my dog Frank, how his tail has
It's a
been
question
permanently
mark.
busted, so it's a permanent question mark? It's like if all of the people had question marks for genitals.
and also if you've ever noticed, like if a very furry dog has dysentery and then just sits down in it, and how the shit gets matted into their fur, that's basically what the physique looks like on most of these people. Just shapes that no one wants
Yeah.
to smell.
Would you agree with that, Courtney?
Yeah, well, they all have really distended bellies, which is really weird and unsettling.
It is unsettling.
Which that's one of the things that like kept me like writing about it, because I was like, why are they so disfigured?
It looks like the cannibal creature from Pan's Labyrinth with the eyeballs in his hands.
Oh. I still need to watch it, but I know it's a very
Fuck, I
iconic
quit.
image. Well,
And then
I've seen a couple movies.
Yes.
one last one, and then we'll call it, just in terms of
This looks like a child drew this. This has got
It
the
looks
dude.
looks like concept art for Dig Dug.
It's just you got the guy creepy crawling in the corner over there, like with the limbs that do not bend the way normal human limbs are intended to. Everybody's got weird bellies just flopping about.
You must be really fun to
Whoever drew-
take to the museum.
Yeah. Whoever drew this was like, well, the Egyptians did a pretty good job, I guess.
I guess. Mom, watch this.
Yeah. Michael, you should have been showing those in between your bits.
Yeah,
It
then
would've
John
been
would've
way
paid
more
attention.
engaging.
Oh, that's true. Instead
Well,
of thinking about shitting
That's
himself.
not necessarily true because I still would have had to poop. So
Regardless.
Which
I'm
does
still
remind
taking
me,
a shit.
there's a podcast I listened to recently where it was people telling embarrassing stories. I'm going to find it and send it to you, but this girl was taking her like test to get into grad school, and she was in the middle of a test and she needed to poop, and there's a mirror, and I'm going to send it to you. It's very funny.
yeah, please do.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, since we're on the topic of somebody being fun to take into a museum, did I tell you all about the time that I helped all of my friends in my choir see very up close many things in the Smithsonian Institute while we were on a tour?
No.
You might have to bleep me here, but I feigned that I was mentally incompetent so that we could walk up to the front of the line. So I was just very loud and boisterous and excited about everything. And so the seas just parted. There were throngs of tourists that just got the hell out of the way so that we could walk
Oh,
up front.
no.
And then I would get up front with them and immediately break character and be like, would you look at the gradients on this? It's really fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah, I was a lot of fun when I was 17. Good times.
So, before I sneak... Nope.
Here we go. I quit.
Okay, guys, he's muting himself because he just. Oh,
Oh,
there we go. We got a sneeze, gentlemen and ladies. He's dying.
no.
He's literally dying, and he's so close to the end too. Oh my good gourd!
I'm glad
That's
we get
9.
to be here in your final moments together.
It's
Good
been a
night,
pleasure
sweet
being your friend.
Uh,
prince.
This is where I walk off the rock cliff.
Can you
Get that
me the
hammer ready.
fucking lies
ready.
now?
Okay. All right. I'm going to try and get this through as fast as possible. The first lie. The astronomical diagrams are not represented by any constellations in the night sky. That was bullshit. The astronomical diagrams were all constellations in the sky. I just wanted to be a little shit. Okay, the
Done.
second lie. Okay, I'm like taking deep breaths just to make sure I don't sneeze. Okay, the second lie. I mentioned a fold-out page called the Dreamlands Folio, where I had castles and islands and
people on
connected.
clouds. Yes.
Yes. That was part of that was bullshit. The idea that it was called the Dreamlands and that they were surrounded by clouds and depictions of people sleeping, suggesting a shared dreamscape by people. That's actually a series of short stories by Lovecraft called the Dream Cycle. So
I don't mind that I don't know that.
That's fair. It was called the Rosetta, I think, Folio, which depicted islands with castles connected by causeways, but they weren't surrounded by fluffy white clouds and people sleeping. So
Just big distended bellies.
exactly. Let's see here. You got the dog skin, you got the human skin, you got the human blood,
Foreskin.
the ink.
You got popcorn shrimp. You got jumbo shrimp.
Hey, Forrest, I'm gonna lean against you. You just lean right against me too. And that way we don't gotta sleep with our heads in the mud.
And
That's a great impression with the mouth and everything. You did a really good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
the last lie was kind of a two-parter. They were both back to back. So I had said that Kircher had recently translated ancient hieroglyphs from Egypt. That was a lie, and so Greorg thought that the Kircher would be able to help him understand the recipes at the end of the text. Though that was all a lie. The ancient Egyptian wasn't translated until the Rosetta Stone, which is why that software is called that, in the early 19th century. Old Anastasius Kircher claimed to have deciphered the ancient hieroglyphs, but either that was a bluff or he just deluded himself into thinking that they were correct. And that was the last lie.
Okay.
So, and I did it without dying. So I'm quite proud of myself. But I say that now I'm going to have like a 13 sneeze streak. So
You're going to have to leave some of those sneezes in so that everyone knows that it was all for real.
Yeah. I
Should I give the sneeze count? Because I've been tallying since the beginning of the episode.
Please.
You are at 17 sneezes
Holy
in the
shit.
past hour and 20 minutes of recorded time.
Wow. That is that's impressive. I'm impressed.
And overall, you're averaging about a 4.5 on the Shane grading scale.
I've been keeping the amount, and he's been giving the grade.
So you're a pretty subpar sneezer, but you got a pretty good batting average.
Yeah.
You're on base a lot.
You swing.
Yeah, I swing a lot.
Swing away,
I'm like
Meryl.
a machine gun of sneezes.
But yeah, thank you for mustering through your nasals.
Good old machine gun smelly over here.
I was
damn
trying
it.
to be ready for today with some talks of the lesser key. But a super fan sent me a podcast to listen to, and I actually want to give it a good go. And now I feel that there's pressure from an outside force to do a good job on an episode.
For
so
once.
I'm taking my time to really, really try and write something special and at least something somewhat coherent, because I'm afraid that if I don't give it some attention, that it's going to be a Michael episode, you know?
Ooh,
That's fair.
Big if
See, the
true.
nice part is people, all super fans, everyone just expects the least of me, so I never have that expectation of delivery.
Well, they don't expect
It's
anything
nice.
from me. So that's why when I got something out of the blue, I was like, well, one, thank you for not hating me entirely. I mean, you reached out and you sent me something. That's really nice. Second, now I have to actually to do it? Fuck.
You're crowdsourcing your research now.
I'm getting essentially the same reason that I bleached my hair. It's like, you won't do it. Okay, I'll do it. And then they send me the episode. You won't listen to this. You won't research it. I will. I will.
So, Captain succumbing to peer pressure strikes again.
Just wait until I get my hands on some fentanyl.
Oh boy.
Give some to Michael, please.
If it ends the pain, it'll end the pain, and that's all I care about. Whew.
We are
Same.
somewhat alike. Yeah.
So, since everyone knows how I'm doing, how are y'all doing?
Fuck.
Nice.
Have you ever had your head in a vice for, an hour and 15 minutes and then suddenly have it relieved by a string of 17
No, he doesn't
sneezes?
know that feeling.
No, I don't because I'm still congested.
Oh, well. I have a baby
So
bulb
long,
with your
let it
name on
go
it.
before I could sleep.
I might use my neti pot for the first time in a while.
Ooh, nitty.
Yeah.
I just like that you've turned into Winnie the Pooh over the course of this show.
Simultaneously, Winnie and
Oh,
Eeyore at
bother.
the same time. which I
Ooh,
thought was
actually,
really
Winnie
weird.
the Pooh and
Wow.
Mr. Magoo.
Well, there you go. Actually, that's not bad.
Oh, bother. You've done it again.
That's you, Michael. That's what you sounded like.
Okay. I didn't know who he was talking about. Until you
Yes,
said it.
Okay,
very
so
shocking.
he rattled his brains around. with
Wow.
every consecutive
Oh my
sneeze.
God.
I gave myself a that's 17 concussions.
I heard one more, and then he's gonna be dead.
If only.
Get that quarterback off the field.
And if I sneeze just one more time, I will sneeze 42 times in this motherfucking rhyme.
You guys remember? Well, Shane probably not. Not another teen movie.
Uh-huh.
So glad I
And
don't.
that's one of the through lines because they're making fun of, I think, like Varsity Blues, where it's like one of the linebackers are like, if he gets 5 more concussions, he's probably gonna die. So then throughout the movie, they are counting every concussion that he gets, like a countdown clock.
Well, on the topics of concussion, if you want to go through the same sort of mental barrage to your brainstem that an impact at 40 miles an hour would give you, you can listen to our show on the weekly. So hit subscribe over your favorite podcast content provider, and you can be bludgeoned like this mercilessly every single wonderful week on Mondays. And if you enjoy, let us know. Give us a little rate and review because we would love to hear from you. And of course, occasionally you can find our exploits over on the Tubes of You. We occasionally will let you view this debacle. And I wouldn't recommend it, though. It is certainly not for children.
It is not.
That is true.
But I think that is going to wrap us up just like a moist Kleenex at the end of a really bad hay fever attack. And so, for this week's soggy installment of the Disinformed podcast, I'm Shane.
I'm John.
I'm Michael.
I'm Courtney.
Be sure that you scope out all of the links in our little link tree down in the show notes, and be well, friends. And I am going to hope that we make it out of this unscathed. But Michael,
Zippity zoop, we're out of here.
it's you!